That's money, dude. Oh! Oh, this is gonna be a flawless victory, bro. Oh! Yo, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another New World video. I hope everyone's doing well. So I wanted to take some time out to talk about my personal setup and build that I'm going to be running with the bow and spear for PvP, specifically solo content, duels, and small group PvP or small group world PvP. I'm actually going to have another video on a PvE setup and a large scale PvP setup. So if you're interested in those, make sure to hit that subscribe button, click that bell so you don't miss any future uploads. And if you're also looking for a company on NA East servers for Marauders, check the comments. I'll have a pinned comment down below for the company that I'll be starting. So before we jump into it, I kind of want to talk about, the quote unquote meta and someone's play style and what they find comfortable. That balance of the two. I'm a strong believer in, if you're comfortable with something and it goes against the meta, play that. Because if you can play that really well and you're already finding success with it, don't fix what's not broken. To give you an example, in the open beta, I was using the bow and I had a lot of people telling me, oh, go medium armor. Medium armor is the best. It's the meta. And at the time I was using light. I made the switch to medium. And while I did notice the, that 10% bump in CC, I also found that I was just dying a lot more. I wasn't winning as many duels. Kiting for me, it just wasn't the same. When I made the switch back to light armor, for me, it was just, it suited my playstyle so much more. It felt comfortable and I had a lot more success with it. So with that said, I'm not saying that this build here is going to be the best that you'll ever find, but it may suit you and it's what I'm going to be personally running, and I've had a lot of success with it so far. So talking of the playstyle of this build, this is geared towards the person that, wants to use their bow primarily and kind of have a secondary weapon to fall back on if specifically a melee person gets in too close and you want to help recreate that distance between you. Or you want to swap to a melee weapon that is going to be reliable to help you finish off and, secure that kill close range. So I'm not going to go through, what's the optimal path of progression that's going to increase your DPS at every single level. This is kind of just an overview of all of the abilities that I'm personally going to be picking up. So to start, we're definitely going to be taking Evade Shot because this is just absolutely amazing. Evade Shot, leap back 5 meters and shoot an arrow dealing 125% weapon damage. We're going to pick up the next upgrade for it, Evasive Knockback, which is Evade Shot causes a knockback of 2 meters. We're going to grab Evasive Tactics. After you dodge, deal 20% more damage for 5 seconds. The next ability we're going to grab is Poison Shot, and we're going to pick up both upgrades right below it. The first one we're picking up is Infected Arrows. Poison Shot's poison now does 12% weapon damage per second for 20 seconds. And also Direct Hit. If you directly hit a target with Poison Shot, it deals 200% more damage. We're going to go over and pick up Go the Distance. Evade Shot grants 5 seconds of 15% haste or movement speed. This is just going to help kite. We're going to be grabbing Battle Precision. Debuffs and dots last 20% longer. This is just going to increase the damage of our Poison Shot, which is awesome. So the last active ability that we're going to be picking up is Penetrating Shot. Shoot an arrow dealing 150% weapon damage that passes through targets and continues for 100 meters. We're going to grab both upgrades underneath that. So Blood-Soaked Arrow. Increase Penetrating Shot's damage by 10% for after each hit. Max of 50% damage. Deep Strike Penetrating Shot deals 20% more damage to targets 20 meters or more away. We're going to come up here and we're going to kind of make a box around all 4 of these passives. We're going to do Long Range, deal 20% more damage to foes at least 10 meters away. Finishing Shot, if your target's below 50% health, deal 20% more damage. Aim True, heavy attacks fly faster and deal 30% more damage. And then Unbreakable Focus. Receive 20% less damage while aiming. This is just a little bit of defensive to help you survive a couple of more shots in case you're getting hit while you're trying to shoot. We're going to come down here and grab Arrow Range. We're going to hit Bullseye. And we're also going to get Hawkeye. So, Arrow Range. Increase arrow distance before gravity drop off starts by 100%. This is just going to help you be a little bit more consistent with your shots because you're not going to have to try to compensate for, you know, that drop of the arrow. Bullseye, your bow's critical strike chance is increased by 10%. Hawkeye, when you land a headshot, heal yourself for 10% of the damage done. This is just going to help with some passive healing. And again, we're really looking to reward skillful play with this last one right here, which is concussion. When you land a headshot, deal 20% more damage with a 50% chance to get your arrow back. So with this build, kind of what's your goal? What's your, you know, your quote unquote rotation? What we're going to do to start is actually open up with penetrating shot. It's not in the tooltip, but penetrating shot actually does a stagger effect. So they're going to be kind of dazed and they won't move for about a second. We're going to use that second immediately after we fire this penetrating shot. We're going to load our poison shot and try to get that direct hit. Now, if you can get a headshot, again, 20% more damage, that's great. Passively, if you're 10 meters away from them, you're going to be doing 20% more damage. If you're able to, if you could actually roll before you hit this penetrating shot, you're going to have another 20% damage stacked on top of penetrating shot and your poison shot. Now, if you're playing against a melee target and they're pushing you and they're getting in close, we're going to try to hit this evade shot where you're going to leap back 5 meters. Ideally, you hit them with it, so you knock them back 2 meters. So you're creating even more distance. And then you're also gaining that 5 seconds of 15% haste to, you know, help you kite around. So with this build, you know, you definitely want to be trying to go for headshots. You know, I definitely try to go for some. There was a lot of times where, you know, I ended up missing it and I just had to kind of go back to the body. But, you know, that repetition of always trying to go for the headshots, you're just going to get better. And eventually you'll get to a spot where you're comfortable with hitting a lot more and you'll definitely be rewarded for it. So the second half of the build is going to be the spear. Now, for some people, this might be controversial, but I'm actually not going to go for either of the two ultimates down at the bottom. If you read what they say, reserve strength, gain 25% damage when your stamina is full. Now, again, I'm a person that likes to rock light armor. It's very rare that I find myself at full stamina. And if I'm at full stamina, because, you know, I've ended up using all of my rolls and I'm at 0 stamina and I have to wait for it to recharge to 100%, I'm usually spamming my roll and will immediately be using a roll. So this, for me, my playstyle gives no benefit. Exploited weakness, 10% damage per debuff on the target with a 30% max. You know, I'm pretty sure that this would also apply for poison arrow, but the truth is, you know, I'm using my spear kind of as the last resort, and, you know, when I can use my bow, I'm going to be using my bow over the spear. Also, the path of, you know, what abilities I take, I really go for a lot of control with the spear, as you saw. So jumping into it, you know, we got javelin, throw your spear, dealing 125% weapon damage and staggering on hit. We're going to pick up the upgrade below that, forceful impact. Targets are knocked down when hit by the javelin. We're going to grab sweep, and we're going to pick up the 2 upgrades below that. Before we read that, we're going to jump over and pick up our last ability for our javelin, because we actually don't grab this. Just to read this one, javelin gains 2.5% damage per meter traveled, 100% max. This, for me, isn't going to have any use because I'm using the javelin very close range. So the last one that I'm going to be picking up, headshots reduce the cooldown of javelin by 50%. So whenever I'm hitting a headshot with the javelin, I'm actually reducing all my other cooldowns by 50%. And the javelin is actually the last one that I use in the rotation of my CC chain. So this is actually huge, and I found myself actually hitting quite a bit of headshots with the javelin. So to jump back over to sweep the target's legs, dealing 75% weapon damage and knocking them down. The 2 upgrades below that, sweep now gains grit, making it uninterruptible, and coup de grace, press light attack during the sweep to follow up with a powerful downward stab that deals 125% weapon damage. This is just going to help give you some extra damage during that CC chain to help win the fight. So we're going to grab these 3 passives right here. Evasive maneuvers. Dodging backwards consumes 20% less stamina for 2 seconds after successful hits. Merciless strength 25% damage against knockdown targets. This is great to tie in with the last trait of sweep, you know, that extra little bit of damage. We're also grabbing defensive stance, gain fortify after successful heavy attacks, increasing damage absorption by 15% for 2 seconds. While I didn't find myself using that much heavy attacks with this spear, it's still, you know, a great option to have in case you can actually, you know, squeeze one in. We're going to pick up refreshing reach. Successful heavy attacks reduce all spear cooldowns by 15%. Invigorating crits restore 20% stamina on critical hits. This is awesome, especially if you're hitting headshots. That's going to be a critical strike, and then you're just going to get 20 stamina back. It's going to help with a roll. Strong conditioning, 30% stamina regen when your stamina is below 50%. We're going to grab precise jabs, 5% crit chance on light attacks. We're going to get refreshing jabs. All spear cooldowns are reduced by 10% for the second hit of the light attack chain. Next up, we're going to grab finishing blows, 15% damage against targets with less than 30% health. We're going to grab vault kick for our last active ability. Use your spear to vault forward and kick your target, dealing 75% weapon damage and applying a stun for 1.5 seconds. This is huge, and it has saved me so many times. We're going to grab both of the passive abilities right underneath that. Relentless blows, gain empowerment after successful hits with vault kick on targets below 50% health, increasing damage by 20% for 5 seconds. The last passive for vault kick is continuous motion. Cooldowns for all other spear abilities are reduced by 30% on successful hits of vault kick. And the last passive talent that we're going to be picking up is aggressive maneuvers. The first successful hit with an ability within 2 seconds of dodging reduces all spear cooldowns by 20%. So as you can see, I chose a lot of passive abilities that, you know, help give me back my cooldowns for my spear, because I'm primarily using these spear cooldowns to help create distance between me and my opponent, or at least controlling them so I can get away or to set up my kills. So the order that I've been using these abilities, which I absolutely love the chain, I find it very easy to hit the javelin, is we're going to use our sweep first to set up our vault kick. And during our sweep, if you have it unlocked with coup de grace, you're going to hit that light attack and immediately go into a vault kick, which is going to stun them for 1.5 seconds. And during that stun, you'll immediately pull out the javelin, and it's very easy to hit them with it. It's kind of insane the amount of control that you get out with this setup. The damage, you could definitely have a build for more damage with the spear, but again, my setup for my personal preference was just complete control to help create that distance back. So another great thing about this this combo, you know, the bow and the spear, is that they both scale off of dexterity. So the more points that you put into that, you're just going to gain benefits in both. It's not like you're splitting your points into strength and dexterity. You know, I definitely recommend putting your points heavily into dexterity, and then definitely putting in some points into constitution. So kind of putting everything together, you know, just to give you some scenarios. If I'm fighting, you know, a ranged character, you know, I'm just going to be using my bow. You know, near the end of the fight, if I notice that I'm starting to choke my shots and I kind of just want the battle to be over, I'll roll in, switch to that spear, do that CC combo, and usually secure my kill. You know, I'm still trying to set up that penetrating shot, poison shot, and then after that, it's just basics using, you know, my heavies and my light attacks. If I ever need the haste bonus to kite around, you know, I'll pop the evade shot. You know, sometimes I'll try to hit my evade shot to get that knockback, and I can actually hit my poison shot off of that too. So they can definitely play off of each other. Sometimes, you know, if I have neither of these up and poison shot comes up, you know, depending on their health, depending how the fight's going, you know, you can actually just shoot the poison shot at their feet, and it'll also start doing the ticking damage, but you gain so much more from actually getting that direct hit. I highly recommend trying to hold poison shot, even if it's, you know, say 3 or 4 seconds before your penetrating shot comes up off a cooldown, you know, just so you can combo those two together, because it's going to be much more of a higher value to actually get that direct hit. So if I'm fighting a melee character, you know, I'm still going to be trying to hit that combo right off the start, you know, maybe not always trying to hit a roll, because I may need that roll defensively. You know, if I'm fighting a ranged character, I more than likely will use the roll straight off the start to get that 20% damage, because I know I don't have to worry about kiting so much. If it's a melee person, I'm usually going to try to hold that roll for a defensive use. But I'm still trying to hit that combo, as I said, of penetrating shot, poison arrow. As they get close, I'm going to hit that evade shot, try to kite around. When they get back in, I'm going to be switching to the spear, doing my CC chain to create space between us. Or usually sometimes it'll just secure my kill if I've hit enough shots from my bow. After my chain is done, my CC chain, I'm switching right back to that bow, trying to kite around and just start landing those autos into him of, you know, my basic attacks. One thing to note that I will give as a tip, your evade shot, if you're fighting someone with a great axe, I highly recommend holding your evade shot specifically for their gravity well. I noticed once I started using evade shot, even if I were to miss the actual knockback and the hit, just using that itself to get out of the gravity well, I found myself winning a lot more battles versus the great axe once I started doing that. If I used it, you know, prematurely because they got in too close and then that gravity well hit me, it was basically GG. I was dead right, you know, as soon as they connect while I'm in that gravity well. The great axe does so much damage. It's really beneficial to try to use your rolls to get away from them and save that evade shot for the gravity well. And lastly, you know, if I'm in a small group, just going to be sticking with that bow primarily. You know, if I get the chance to cut someone off, I'm going to swap to the spear just to kind of lock them down for the rest of my team to get there. And also a great thing to use this for is, say you have a healer that's, you know, near you and you have a great axe guy that just charges right through and is going straight for your healer. You can kind of roll in on him, switch to your spear and kind of, you know, lock him down and give your healer a chance to actually get away and survive versus, you know, him dying and then, hey, now you have no heals. So this is my setup. This is what I'm going to be running day one. I'm definitely going to be using bow spear. I think in endgame, this is also going to be my go-to. As I said, in large-scale PvP, that's going to be a separate video. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell so you don't miss that upload if you're willing to check that out as well. Once again, if you're looking for a company on a North American server on East, we're going Marauders. Check that pinned comment up at the top. We're going to be doing a lot of PvP and a strong mix of PvE. We got crafters in there already, you know, people who are going to be playing the auction house to make just, you know, a boatload of money. Our goal is to either buy a territory or take one over. We're definitely going to be trying to make a community that, you know, we're really focused on helping each other. So if you're interested, you know, you're tired of playing alone, definitely come check us out. But with that said, guys, that's it for me. Drop a like on this video if you liked it. You know, double tap that dislike button if you hated it. I hope you found some use out of this video. I've also been thinking about changing my outro. I'm not completely sure what I'm gonna say yet. But yeah, until then, take it easy, guys. As always, I'll catch you in the next one.